Every day, America's farm families get up and meet the challenge of feeding the world. I want to introduce you to a hardworking farm family that's producing this beautiful and delicious grain. Don't go away. Jennifer, what a bumper crop of rice.
Thank you.
It's so beautiful. Look at those grains.
Yeah.
And it's so thick too to walk through.
It's hard to walk through.
Now, your family's been in farming for a long time.
It's 10 generations, and we have 3 active here on the farm right now.
Now, you went away for a while and then came back to the farm. What is it about the rice that captures your imagination? Why do you love it so much?
Well, I love rice in particular. It's just so beautiful. Our aromatic rice, when it starts to come out, you smell it as soon as you walk into the valley.
Really?
Yeah.
Just the sound of us walking through this grass, it has a wonderful kind of rustle. There's so many aspects to producing rice. I mean, we're seeing it out here in the field right at harvest time.
Yes.
But there's a lot of other processes before and after this.
From start to finish, it's a family event, so yeah, no sick days.
I'm Tim Ralston. My wife and I, Robin, farm approximately 4,800 acres. A family farm is a way of life. You eat, sleep, and breathe it from the time you get up in the morning until you go to bed at night. We grow approximately 4,800 acres of crops. Half of that is dedicated to continuous rice production. Sometimes it's an awful lot of work, and you just have to be willing to invest yourself in it totally.
I think what differs us the most is we have total control from seed to package.
We provide jasmine, basmati, and traditional long grain rice grown, milled, and packaged here on our farm.
From harvest, the rice comes into the grain bin facility. From there, it is dried down to an optimum milling moisture. It's hushed, polish it up a little bit if it's necessary. From there, we do form material checks and things like that. Once the product reaches the package, we ship it out of our trucking dock and it goes to various vendors.
We all participate in that process. You know, it's a pretty intense operation.
I do a little bit of everything. I'm in the office, I'm in a tractor, I'm in the garden. Our son, Matthew, has always wanted to farm and has been in a combine since he was in diapers. And then our oldest daughter, Ashley, we do outside sales, and our daughter, Jennifer, is in the office and does inside sales.
You know, it's not just a job. You know, we take a lot of pride in what we produce.
Being a farm family, to me, personally, means that we get to raise our kids. They are around family members all day long.
We're very grateful that our children love what they do here with us, and that our son-in-law and daughter-in-law are very excited about it too. We want to hand this down not only to our children and grandchildren, but our great-great-grandchildren, so we're very focused on the sustainability and the quality. What you put in the ground is what you're going to get out of the ground.
It's not just raising a crop, it's raising the next generation as well.
What's your favorite rice? We'll learn about rice varieties when we return. Rice is one of those very important cereal grains that can be, well, integrated in lots of different dishes. It's very versatile. It can be worked into a main dish, it can be a side dish, it can be a dessert, it can even be a part of a beverage. Rice occurs in lots of different cultures, and there's so many different flavors that you can get from this basic cereal grain. But let's start with the fundamentals. Traditional white is the classic that probably comes to mind first. This is a domestic long grain rice with a fluffy texture that you might see in southern dishes like red beans and rice. This is the traditional long grain brown rice. Doesn't really look all that brown at all, does it? Well, it has that layer of bran on it which makes it brown, and it has more nutrition and more fiber. Okay, now let's take a look at basmati rice. Just like the traditional rice, it comes in brown and white. And what's different about basmati, it's all about the fragrance. When you're cooking it, you walk into a room, you can actually smell it. It has a spicy-like quality. Now, not to make this overly complicated, let's talk about jasmine rice. Very popular in Southeastern Asian countries. Like the other two rices we just talked about, it comes in a brown and a white. It has a very light, delicate texture to it, but it's still a long grain rice. The key here is that its aroma, its redolence is very floral-like. Many find the brown form of jasmine rice is often likened to the flavor of oats. Now, if you're like me, you probably aren't going to use a full container of rice, so storage is important. You want to keep it as fresh as long as possible, and you can do that by just following a few basic principles. One, you want to keep the rice in a cool, dark place, and you want it sealed. You can take a container like this and put it in a Ziploc bag, for instance. That'll certainly keep insects and dust and that sort of thing out of it. Or an airtight container. I like these types of jars, or even something that has a plastic lid on it that you can press the air out of it. A great place to keep dried rice, if you have the space for it, is in your refrigerator or your freezer. Now that we've covered the fundamentals of some of these rice varieties, try them out. Experience their subtle differences. You'll be glad you did. Up next, learn how rice can act as a natural filtering system at the farm. The American family farm isn't an enterprise that's solely focused on profit. Typically living on or very near their farms, farming families aim to preserve and protect their surroundings and the land they tend for present and future generations.
My name is Phil Sims. I'm a county extension agent for agriculture here in Pope County. And my background, of course, is agronomy. Ralston Family is a very diversified farm, and rice is one of their main crops.
I can't ever remember not farming. My dad was a farmer, and once you're old enough to start helping, you start helping, and that's just kind of what we done.
We talk about varieties. We talk about different options as far as the crop rotations that we use and things like that. And then when it gets down to the actual planting, we scout the fields for diseases, insects. When you have an abundance of cropland, the wildlife come in and take advantage of that. Anytime that we can do anything more efficient, it impacts everything along that supply chain. One of the things the Ralstons have done to make their farm a lot more water efficient is by zero grading the fields.
It works kind of like a big bathtub. All of our water is surface water. It's pumped directly out of the Arkansas River. Each field is basically flat. Most of them are 40 acres. We flood those fields after the rice has come up and gotten established, and that makes it substantially more conservative than a traditional rice field, because a traditional rice field, the water goes in the high end and it comes out the low end because they're not flat. Usually they're terraced.
The old traditional levee rice, it can take 2 to 3 acre-feet of water a year. Whereas when we zero grade, we actually get by with about half that.
It not only is conservative and saves water, but we're also able to produce a better quality rice.
You know, if you think about it, all the nutrients that are captured in that river water and stuff are just deposited back out onto the rice fields.
That same water is returned back to the Arkansas River, and the rice acts as a filter. When the water comes in from the river, it's muddy and got a little bit of everything in it, but when we return it to the river, it's crystal clear. It looks like drinking water. It's proven to be the most responsible way for us to produce a crop because of being able to take full advantage of Mother Nature's what she's provided.
They're utilizing their water as efficiently as possible. They're using the scout and spray only when needed methods. And they're also watching their nutrient managements, making sure that they use soil testing and making sure that they're only applying the fertilizer that's needed for the crops.
You know, you want to know that your food is produced responsibly and friendly to the environment, and that's what we intend to provide.
You don't want to miss our delicious rice recipes, so stick around.
I think Southern cuisine has the best story. When people classify food as American, sure, you'll get hamburgers, but you get fried chicken, you get collard greens, stuff that have become uniquely American. At South Albany, we cook what we call refined Southern. We try not to make it too fancy, but we definitely want to make it our own. The recipe we're going to do today is a New Orleans barbecue shrimp. So at its very base, we've got Worcestershire sauce, garlic, lemon. We're going to show you how to serve that over a rice grits with a little butter, cream, all those wonderful full dairy fats to make it delicious. We're going to start by getting our grits going. When we're making rice grits, I think the major difference between the corn grits is going to be the texture. We're going to get something that's a little softer, a little creamier. As long as it's broken down past whole rice, then you're good. We're going to take 2 cups of water, 2 cups of milk, and a ½ cup of chicken stock. We're going to bring that to a boil. And then we're going to add 1 cup of our ground brown basmati rice grits. For our garlic butter, we're gonna take a ½ pound of butter, zest of 2 lemons, and between 4 to 6 finely grated cloves of garlic. While the grits are cooking, we're gonna start our stock. We'll add our ½ cup of chicken stock, ½ cup of Worcestershire, and we'll get that on the heat over here. We're gonna combine that with one of the lemons that we took the zest off of, a ½ a white onion sliced, just add this crushed head of garlic as well. We'll let that simmer. ready to pull this off. It's thickened up. As it cools, it's gonna continue to absorb a little water. Gonna get some kosher salt, a good crack of black pepper. We're gonna take just a little bit of that garlic butter we made earlier. Set this aside and get ready for the shrimp. We've got our beautiful Gulf shrimp, peeled and deveined. We're gonna season both sides with salt and pepper. Bring a pan to medium heat with a thin layer of olive oil. Once the pan is hot, place the shrimp in gently. We're gonna cook them for about 3 minutes each side. As our first side is cooking, we are gonna strain our Worcestershire stock and reserve that for our pan sauce. All right, we're ready to flip these shrimp. We're gonna reduce with about half a cup to 3/4 of a cup of our Worcestershire stock. It's gonna bubble up real good. It's gonna start reducing. We can cut the heat, add our herbs in. We're gonna finish with this garlic butter. That's when we're gonna go back to our rice grits. When we source our food at South on Main, we really like to think of the story it's gonna tell. So we want to pick great ingredients, but we really want to base those in our geographic location. I think this is a great representation of how Arkansas is influenced by the cuisine of New Orleans, and I think we made something that really represents the South. New Orleans barbecue shrimp and grits.
The First Lady of Arkansas is very careful about what we consume.
I know she is.
We like it.
What's really encouraging and inspiring to me is this whole farm to fork movement really is catching on. We see it across the entire country. And right at the Ralston's farm, you can see how vertically integrated it is. The rice is grown there, it's milled there, it's packaged there, and distributed. And it's distributed to a wide range of places, all the way from the governor's mansion to food pantries. Governor, you've been tireless in your work sharing the Arkansas message. Talk a little bit about what's going on with rice and some of the opportunities you see out there.
When you think about the statistics that we produce more than 50% of all the rice in the United States of America, that's a source of pride for Arkansas, and we want to stay in that position. So it's about research, it's about marketing, it's about farmers that generation after generation stay in the rice production and realize what it does for America and what it does for Arkansas.
We get excited about community. What we're working on now is we're getting a list of food banks, and we have a percentage that we know we want to dedicate towards donations. And so we're calling it a family-to-family outreach, from our family to other families. People are struggling, and rice is just such a staple that it can help carry a meal a long way. It can feed a lot of people. You know, everybody can do something, and our something is rice, and we have a lot of rice, so we want to give a lot of rice.
Want to learn more? Visit PAllenSmith.com for delicious recipes, garden tips, blog posts, and our online store. This rice salad smells so good. I hope in today's show you've been inspired by all the varieties of rice that are out there, the way in which it's grown in an ecological way, and the hardworking folks that bring it to us every day. If you'd like this rice recipe and many others, just check out my website. That's PAllenSmith.com. Until next time, I'm Alan Smith. So good and good for you.